Hello everybody, Matt from DocuDriven. I've got a Canon DR-X10 here, DR-X10C, that I'm going to be cleaning. I'm going to be taking it apart, putting it back together. When you use these frequently and there is a lot of paper going through them, it generates a lot of dust. Sometimes you get really dirty paper, sometimes you get clean paper. Dust can really affect the performance of these, so we're going to take it all apart, we're going to put it back together, and that should really enhance our performance. Okay, let's get into it. We're going to start by taking off the sides. We have two screw holes right here and here, so we're going to pull those out first. Then on the back here you have one here, and you've got one down here. Okay, so now that I have those four screws out, two on the side, two on the back, there are some self-tapping screws on the inside of this that we're going to need to pull out. The first one is right up here. And then you're going to open it up. You're going to have two more right here and here. Okay, it does come off relatively easy. There's a fourth one hidden underneath this guy right here, right down here. So now I'm going to have to take off this back plate here, which has 2, 4, 6, actually just 5 screws. This one is to hold on this side. I'm going to take off these 5 screws because there is a little clip back here that I have to pull up in order to pull that off. So we're going to pull off these. Okay, so this just comes off now. And you can just set this aside. And you can see, I don't know if you can see it right here, there's a tiny little clip. And this piece has to go up. And then you pull the whole piece out. So I will push that up. And now I can just kind of wiggle this off. You want to be careful on this side. You have a cord that's plugging into this unit here. So as you pull this off, kind of rotate around and you'll see that it's plugged in right here. You can just pull that out and now you have the whole right side off. So now we are going to take off the other side, which has another clip here that we'll have to push up as we pull out. But we again have 2 screws here and 2 on the sides, as well as the 4 on the inside that we'll have to pull out first. Now we'll start with the screw down here at the bottom. Okay, then we have 1 screw up here. And open this up and you have 2 more inside of here. Okay, now that those are off, it's around so you can see it. I'm going to push up on this piece here. I'm just going to kind of pull that off. And now we're going to want to take off our exchange rollers. So we'll start by lifting up at this little spot here. That just comes off. And then you're going to twist this up, out, and this frees one of the retard rollers here. And then you've got 2 up here you're going to have to remove. So you squeeze here and you pull down. And then this piece comes and just rotates out like that and then pulls out. And this one has another little, they've highlighted them all green here, so I can push that, pull it back, and now this one comes out. We're going to take off this top piece. There's a lot of dust that gets under here, and there are 3 screws on each side that hold this on. There's one here, and one here. Okay, so now we're going to take off the other screws from the other side of this top piece. This now is going to come off. Pull it down here. You just lift up a little bit now that those screws are off, and then you can kind of just pull it straight out. And now you've got the whole top piece off. we're gonna take off this piece next, right here. There's a piece that kind of guards back there, and a lot of dust can get stuck back there. So there's 3 screws, 2 at the top, 1 here and 1 here, and 1 down here on the bottom. Okay, in order to pull this out, you have some cords right here that are kind of in the way of this corner, so you can't pull it straight out. So you kind of have to come out at an angle and then come out this way with it. Now we're going to take off this metal plate right here. A lot of dust gets stuck under there. And there are 9 screws on this one. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, you have 5, and then back inside these holes there are 2 screws, which are really hard to get at, and I've dropped often. And when you pull this down, you have, actually, so these have hooks on them. In order to get those off, I forgot to show you. So this will stop right here. You have to put pressure here and here when you pull out in order to get those hooks to come off. And with this one, I put a screwdriver in here to get some leverage on there while pushing down here, and it just comes right out. So we'll start with these 2 right here. We're going to do these 2 now. I recommend bringing this down slightly so that gravity kind of puts the screw more onto your screwdriver when you pull it out. And you're just going to reach back there. You'll feel when it comes off, and then I'm going to tilt this down more and just slowly, carefully, like operation, bring that screw out. And now I'll do the same thing on this side. Tilt it up so that I can see. And I always leave this screw for last because it holds the whole plate on right in the middle. And then I'll take this one off. And then it will just come right off. You kind of have to twist that in order to get that off. So we're going to take off this roller in order to get our vacuum back there. And it's spring loaded, and you can kind of pull back on this and it just comes right off. Just comes straight out with it. Be careful not to lose those springs, because we're going to be pulling off stuff from the top here, and some of these parts are interchangeable. We're going to leave stuff on one side, which is going to be our top. So this is going to be, all of my top stuff is going to go here, and all of my bottom stuff is going to go over here. So up next, we're going to pull off this platen roller. There are just 2 screws on the side of this one. You have 1 screw here, and this screw looks a little bit different than the others. It kind of has this platform before you get to the screw part. And then we're going to do the other side right here. And then, in order to get this out, you just have to push it back. It rotates, and then it comes, kind of have to, just comes out. It has these sideways slits that kind of go right in that hole. There's both a top and bottom platen roller, so we're going to put this on the top. Now we're going to take off this bottom plate here. Okay, so now we're going to remove this scanning glass. We want to be very careful with this because they break really easily, and they're about $100 a piece. You have this little L-shaped bracket which runs on the top 3 and then again on the bottom 3. And it's open on this end, and it has this L shape on this end to prevent it from going that way. So what we want to do is kind of put some pressure on it and just slowly, it kind of clicks there, and then it just comes off. And you want to be really careful with how much pressure you put, because I've cracked it pushing it too hard. So now all of my inside top pieces are off so that I can get at this and clean all the dust on here. You can see on the platen motor here, just tons of dust. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start pulling off the bottom. And we're going to start with this piece here, which has 3 screws. Once you pull off that retard roller here, you can get to that 3rd screw here. And then we'll take out, this is our frame detection unit, and we'll just take out the 2 screws here. And we're going to take this metal piece out right here. There are 2 screws. It's hard to get at it with a normal screwdriver just because of the angle. So you want to try to use a smaller screwdriver to get back at these. Now that we have those out, all those screws out, and this has been pushed down, we're just going to, this can just kind of come straight out. You want to be careful you don't catch these here as you come up. And it just comes straight out. Then we can take this metal piece out in the back here, and these pieces hold this platen roller from going down, from rotating down, so they have kind of extension pieces. So when you pull it out, you want to tip it up and then pull it back. So we'll tip it up and then just come out like that. There are no screws holding in this platen roller, and now that that piece is gone, I can twist this and just pull it straight up and out. And there's our bottom platen roller that is an exact replica of the top platen roller. Now we have this scanner glass, which is the exact same piece as the top up here, but these ones, I believe, have the L shape. I think I want to slide it this way. Yep, just be very careful. This comes out now. You want these lines always facing where the paper is going to come in. And then we can take this air detection unit off. It just comes kind of straight up. It is attached at the bottom down here. So what I normally do is just kind of twist that a little bit and just kind of leave it here. That way I can get in and vacuum beneath it. So we're going to use the DataVac Pro here. This is a special vacuum that actually does not create static electricity. So when we vacuum the motherboard and the electronics of this machine, we won't get any shortages, anything, because this does not generate static electricity. So I have 2 attachments for this. I have the brush, and I also have this more car style vacuum that can get into those finer places. So I'm going to start by just using the brush and just vacuum out as much as I can get to. So you have some ultrasonic sensors in the DR-X10C. There are 3 on the top here, and there are 3 on the bottom here. And you also have these sensors, other sensors for detecting paper jams and things like that that are here. You can take this off and clean under it if you're having some errors with paper jams, just to make sure the sensors are clean. And we're just going to keep vacuuming. There's a lot of dust here, so I'm going to vacuum here, all around the sides, the top. Now I'm going to switch to this piece, and I'm going to get some of these harder to reach spots. Make sure you also vacuum many of the pieces that you pull pulled out while they're in here. Just be very careful to handle the scanning glass. Be sure not to drop that or any of the important platen roller pieces. So the platen roller, this has a brush in the back, and then it also has a brush on the roller. And you just want to be sure that you're rolling it in the right direction so that the brushes aren't going against each other. So you can roll it this way, and you can vacuum as you roll. Now that it's all clean and most of the dust is out, we're going to start putting this back together. I'm going to start with the top, because if I drop any screws down here, I'd rather not have to take anything off in order to find it. So I'm going to leave them unscrewed down here, and I'm going to put the top on first. So we'll start with here, we'll work our way through the scanning glass, and then all the way back up. I'm just going to get a microfiber cloth to clean the inside of this before I put it back on, as well as the outside. Being careful not to bend or drop it. And again, these lines need to be facing the paper as it comes in, so the lines are going to be facing up. I'm going to put that in over towards the right, and then we're going to push it back to the left until you hear that click. And we're going to take our platen roller, and this one will go in. You have some gears on one side of this and not on the other side. The gears are always going to match. You have a gear up here, and on the bottom side you have a gear on the other side. So the gears should always match. So again, we come at an angle, slip it in like that, twist it, and we're going to use the screws that have the extension of that screw head on it to put these in on both sides of the platen roller. Now we're going to put our roller back in. Just going to face these up. And you just have to put it right back where it came from and push, and it'll snap into place. You're good to go. Now for the hard part, we're going to put this in. And you can see down here are those screws that go in the back that are hard to reach. So we'll start. And I normally put this middle screw in just to hold the plate on. I'm going to attempt to get these screws in. So I have my screw on. I'm just going to guide it in and then start twisting as soon as you get to the back. We should have 6 more screws that we're going to put in on all those locations. Here. And then we'll have 2 screws here and here. Okay, that should be all 9 for here. Now we're going to put this back inside, and it won't go back in. If you push it, you have to pinch these down a little bit using a screwdriver on this one, and then kind of roll it back in while you push. Now I'm going to work on just putting the bottom ones back in. I'm going to start with the 2 screws in the air detection unit. Just drop them in. And before we get too much further, I'm going to put the scanning glass onto that bottom piece. First I'm going to use my microfiber cloth and clean that glass, being careful not to break it. And the lines are going to be facing you. They go in, and you can see the little L-shaped brackets on the bottom here. So it's going to start over here and slip in this way. I'm going to put in this piece next. And this will have those 3 extended screw heads like the plat motor. So first we will just kind of guide this in carefully. Should fit right into place. And then we will Okay, now I'm going to put these exchange rollers back in place. So down here, the bottom one, I have one side that is just black, one side that's white with 2 kind of gaps in it. And that gap side is going to match right over here. You can see there's a kind of pin running through this one. So you want to take that gapped side and line it up so that it fits, and then slide this green one down, and now you're in place. Then you'll take your piece here, which matches like this. Oops. Goes in this way and snaps in. For the top ones, we'll squeeze here and we'll pull down. And I have 2 pieces here. Again, you have just a flat edge here, and then you have a little raised edge with actually 4 gaps. And you again have a pin piece up here, and that gap side will go into, slide into there, and then you'll slide the green through the hole and up to lock that into place. This piece has a gear right in the middle that will go here, and then you just twist that up until it snaps. And now you can close this and you're good. We have our platen roller, which this piece has to go in first because this piece has these little edges here that will go underneath the plat motor to keep it from rotating. So we're going to look to find where our gear is. We're going to look in here, and we're going to see the gear over here attached to the plat motor on the bottom. And then there are slide-in pieces inside there that you're going to have to slide in the edges of the plat motor into. So we will reach back here. This one's a little hard to get. It has to be just the right angle to go in. We're gonna now try this way. There we go. Okay, so that slides in, twist back, and now we have to slide in our metal piece so that it goes underneath the platen roller, I'm sorry. So now that platen motor cannot go down because of this metal piece. And we'll use our short screwdriver to get those screws back in the metal piece. And I do not tighten this one all the way so that this can wiggle a little bit to get this one in before I tighten it all the way. So now all that's left should be your top, side, and back pieces. And we are going to put this guard back in with just 3 of the small screws. And if you remember, you have this cord right here, which is going to butt up against here. So you have to kind of come in at an angle like this in order to get it behind that cord. Then I will get that bottom piece in first. Okay, now we're going to put the top piece on here. In order to do that, this has to slide between these two pieces right here. So you're gonna kind of come on like this, and then you'll just kind of slowly work it in until you're flush on the edge right here. Then we're gonna raise it up, and we're gonna screw in the 3 screws on this side and the 3 screws on the other side. And these screws have nice wide tops here. I only have 5 because I never found the one that dropped. Okay, now I'm going to put on the right side, and if you remember, we have to attach this that we unplugged before we get that going. So I'm going to get this close over here, and then I'm going to reach over and I'm going to plug in this piece right here. Make sure that it's in there good. Now that that's plugged in, we're going to try to slip this back on. You might have to lift up a little bit on it because this bottom piece helps it stand. So you might have to lift up a little bit in order to get it all the way on. 4 screws that we're going to screw in. We're going to start with these 2 down here. Then we have 2 here, 1 down here and 1 up here. Then we have our self-tapping screws before one starting here. Okay, this side's in. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. One thing to note is this power button can get a little in the way while you try to put this on. So you might have to try a few times, as well as in the back, you're going to have to get this over that. And this up here. Now we'll put in the 4 screws into back here and in the back. Then we'll put this back plate on, which the back plate has one edge has a kind of a lip on it, and you can actually just put that on there and it'll stay, and then we can install those screws. And I did forget to put the self-tapping screws in on this piece, which are these bigger screws here. Kind of give it one final wipe down. And we are good to plug this back in. And that's how you do a deep clean.